Hello everybody, Ben Woodruff here with another Falconry video. This video is part 2 in the training of a brand spanking new falcon. The falcon we're dealing with is a captive bred, parent raised lanner falcon. This falcon is full sized, but he doesn't quite know how to fly yet, doesn't know how to hunt yet, but he's been parent reared, so he's a non-imprint. And my part 1 of this video was kind of showing some of the basics of socializing, getting them to eat from the fist, which is kind of the first step with most birds. Remember that food for raptors is not a reward. It is social bonding. It is the language of trust. It's the one way we can break through the trust barrier. Everything within the psyche of a bird of prey says, giant bipedal thing with free hands that look like claws. I want to fight or flight. I'm going with flight. I don't want to be around that thing. Building trust with a raptor is difficult. Food breaks that trust barrier right through, because here is the rule. Everybody wants to kill you and take your food except for your parent or your mate. And your parent will kill you and take your food once you're adult and have left the nest. Now you become competition. But your mate will share food. They're like, hey, you know what? We're friends, right? Here's food. Oh, here's food. Okay. This is important. This principle, you must understand this. So you build trust with food, but you also have to be careful where and how you share and deliver food. So not only is you giving them food building trust, them taking and accepting the food willingly is also an act of social bonding. Always remember that principle. Where do we put our food? You might hand it to them. You might have them eating off your fist. Hop to the fist, fly to the fist. Food's on a lure. Food's on a kill. They're eating a kill. Are you bringing the food into their mew? Are you bringing them out of the mew and feeding them on your yard? All of these things. Watch my videos. I talk about the good and the bad of all of these. But we're talking a brand new bird here. So we're establishing trust. Now, in part 1, I talk about how feeding from above, at first while you're getting them to come down, as a baby, me, they're used to mom like, oh, but then you have to get them to, I'm going to hold down my food and eat it myself. The next step is we got to get the bird to hop to the fist. Now, I want to preface with something. There's a million ways to train a bird. You might do something different. I do often do something very different than what I'm going to talk about today. I will often, once they are eating off of the fist, I'll totally skip flying to the fist with a falcon and just get them on hunting and killing, and then introduce the lure after that. There's backwards way to do it, depending on what the bird is like, what style of hunting you're going to do. But I was thinking about this bird. There are basics that are good to know. And I know a lot of the falconers who watch this channel will be like, yeah, I've done this a million times. I know, I have too. But as I've been training this falcon, I keep being like, oh, shoot, I really ought to film this or that or document this because it's useful for people. How often are you training a brand new bird? And so this applies. What I'm showing you, these are just some basics. And again, the footage is terrible on some of this, and I apologize. I appreciate your patience on these things because I'll just be like feeding my bird doing a training session and I'm like, oh, shoot, I should film. Grab a camera. It might be blurry, bad lighting. So maybe I'll try to redo this later. But for now, I'm just thinking we're getting into fall. There's a lot of people with new captive bred birds like me, but there's also a lot of people who in the next few months are going to be acquiring, trapping birds from the wild, and this is good to know. So hopping to something for food is not normal in the psyche of a raptor. It may be from a parent, but not from you. What are you? A simian? What are you doing? Like, here's some food. Their brain has nothing in it that says what to do. Now, eating from above? Yeah. Getting them to eat off the fist? Kinda. But hopping or flying to the fist? There's nothing in there to relate it to. There's nothing in their DNA, in the genetic memory of their ancestors to say, when a human offers food on a garnished glove, hop to it. And so this first stage is ridiculous to watch them. And I wish I had filmed this from the side. And again, the training sessions I film here, I was halfway through before I decided, oh, gee, I ought to get a camera out. But what you'll have is you are right next to the bird with meat on your glove. And you are trying to get them to hop to it. And you go closer to them and they, They lean and they put out their wings and they won't, they're like, they'll do anything. They will lean this far out and almost fall over rather than just hop. And it's ridiculous to watch because they don't know what they're doing. They don't understand it. Now, a couple of tricks that I want to mention when you are getting a bird to fly to the fist, hop to the fist, think of their visual perspective, okay? If you have a glove, and if you have meat on top of your glove, you cannot see that as well, as if it's hanging down over the front. So I will let the meat hang over the front of the glove, and I will also have a second piece of meat. So they have this big, juicy piece of meat they can see, but then I'll have another piece up here that I'll wave, so they're seeing a lot of food. And then when they hop, then of course if I don't want to eat them all at once, I'll pull that first piece of meat down so they can only eat a little bit of it, and I'll hide the other piece that was just there as a visual enticement. So that's a little tidbit. During this time you're whistling, they might be distracted, so you might tap the side of your glove, and whatever your whistle is going to be, mine is just, that's the sign, hey, I'm letting you know, pay attention. And along the way, as they're leaning but haven't done it yet, you got to be patient. Your arm's going to be tired. But sometimes you have to reset the visual stimulus. So tapping the glove and bouncing a piece of meat up and down on the glove, those are visual stimulus. But also turn around and then bring your hand right back to the same thing. Turn around, bring it back. Because here's what you're doing. Every time you present, remember, raptors are visual, more so than we are. The importance of the visual input just overshadows what it is to humans. And humans are incredibly visual learners. So think about the power of advertising. Okay, this is important. This is a very important principle that we actually can liken us to raptors with it. Think about if you're driving down the freeway and you see a billboard and it says, "When was the last time you had an Oreo cookie?" You will answer it in your head. It is mind control. It forces you. You put a question out there and your brain goes like, when did I have? Oh, it's been a while, or it was yesterday. You can't help. You can try not to. But if you visually throw a question in a human's face, they have to answer it. Now, that's why marketing works so well. It is the same thing. You are asking the question to the bird. You put up a glove and you say, "Here's some meat. Would you like some meat? Will you hop for this meat?" You're asking a question. You're presenting an opportunity for the mind of the bird to process and decide upon. Okay? So if you're like, "Hi, here's this. You want it?" And they're like, "I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know that I want it." You're waiting. Ask the question again. Turn around, turn back. By taking a break and turning back around, like a 1-second break. Turn around, come back. You've asked the question again. You presented the opportunity again, which forces their mind to reprocess the information. Okay? Does that make sense? Like, do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? Okay, you're doing it again. Where if you only ask once, they've only decided once, and they're probably not as likely to jump, depending on where your weight management is at. So, but that's a good technique. Eventually, when they get it, they might just do a little hop. Sometimes I'll go up a little higher, and that's easier for them to take a step and kind of climb, flap onto your fist, and then the next time you do it, they'll hop. Then they'll hop further, but maybe you need to go straight out. But don't give in, because you'll bring your fist close, and then if you let them have it, you haven't taught them anything. They have trained you to bring the food to them, which is not what we're going for. So again, you're getting them to, eventually, they will hop, and they eat it. And then usually, hey, that's a good deal. Now they'll go a little further. Now you go even a little further, and a little further, okay? This is this stage of training. I will have follow-up videos that are going to show other ways you go after this, and I'll show you where I'm going to go after this, but I mainly wanted you to see this step. It is frustrating, but once they have it, they have it. I've been doing my weight management daily, religiously, with my digital scale in grams, and I have my Lander Falcon at a good weight where he was responsive to food on the fist, but he was still like not understanding the whole idea of hopping to the fist. So I dropped him a few grams lower. He understood the principle, And then I bumped him back up, and he's still doing fine at that higher weight because he needed to understand, what are we doing? Why does food matter? It's hot. I'm not that hungry. But if he's like, oh, it's dinner time. It's time to eat. Okay, let's do this. So weight management, of course, is crucial in all of falconry. But this is the step of the first steps of hopping to the fist. I will have follow-up videos very soon. But I hope that this is valuable, especially for people just getting into the sport, to understand the principle and the reasoning for how and why we train a new bird to fly to the fist. And it doesn't matter if it's a baby, if it's an imprint that you've raised from a baby, or if it's a captive bred parent-raised bird like this, or if it's a bird that was trapped as a wild migrating bird. No matter what it is, this is a valuable step. You don't have to do it with every bird, depending on what training you're doing, but it's considered a standard and it's considered a basic. So hope you find it useful. Let me know if you have any questions about this stage. Again, the upcoming follow-ups to this video, I will try to plan ahead and have better video footage to document it. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. It really helps me out. And as always, happy hawking.